from my Call of Duty Halo commentary days for those who have been here before I got into League of Legends. I really wanted to make a commentary about my personal experience with 9/11. It's been 14 years since it actually happened in 2001. And to this day, I actually still remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sure I was waiting for a really good time for this to really tell you guys about the story. And I wanted to really put my heart and soul into a commentary and do it justice. So, those who are here for my Call of Duty and Halo times, here's a commentary actually, finally. And what better way to lay over some Halo 5 multiplayer gameplay? It happened when I was in middle school in New York City in Coney Island. I remember going to the bus stop like it was any other day, laughing and talking to my friends from different grades. I never, really thought about any dangers in life and just felt so innocent. And you know what? The bus would always come on time in the morning. And there's always that same lady, that same blonde hair lady with the big white sunglasses. She'd always have like a bright smile on her face. And the kids on my bus, the kids are on my bus that were picked up on that route, we were never like rowdy, so she always had like a good time with us. Easy job. And I'm not gonna lie, I was probably hungry when I got to school. I'm always hungry, even after breakfast. And I definitely remember the morning of my first class. It was math class, and it was definitely algebra. I remember looking at the window and just gazing because, I don't know, I find classes really boring. Really, really boring. And all of a sudden, a classmate, he was super, super late, and he busted through the door. Super fucking loud. And he was shaking and screaming to everybody in my room, in the classroom. And my teacher was just like, what's going on? And he was just shouting how the Pentagon had an airplane that crashed into it. And I don't think I processed exactly what he said because it sounded something crazy. Like, did something happen? Did he have like a crazy strike that striked him and he just started saying these random things? And it's like, who would do such a thing? Like, what? It's not logical. And what's really weird? I remember his exact name. And if you guys find him on Facebook and pester him, I think it'd be really odd. But anyway, I remember his name. It was Michael Abadamarco. Yes. Michael Abadamarco. I know it's so random. Of all the things I remember, all the people's names or the kids in my class, I just remember his name. And our teacher was just yelling at him constantly, like, stop lying, stop saying crazy things. And, things like this should not be said. And he begged her so much just to turn on the radio and was like, no, I'm telling the truth. I'm really telling the truth. And she finally, looked around and found one of those really old school portable radios that you put a battery in it and there's like an antenna that you stretch out. She turned that on and she dialed it to 1010 wins. The news reporter, loudly was like, that's what happened. It was exactly what Michael had told us. It was really an odd feeling because we were so young and we weren't even sure what was going on. It's like being told something it's something random, like out of the blue. And I really thought I was being trolled or something, but obviously things were getting super real. Yeah. I remember wondering, or people asking too, where, where are there planes gonna come fall out of the sky? What kind of planes? Were they jet planes? Are we being invaded? Like the history we've been studying about the British conquering America, Romans fighting to conquer the world. Even before any questions really could be answered, the news reporter started shouting, and the Twin Towers in New York City, in New York, not so far away from where I was, one of the Twin Towers was hit by an airplane, a Boeing airplane. An airplane got hijacked by terrorists, and innocent passengers, just full of innocent passengers. I remember feeling a chill going down my spine, and we kept listening to all the reports, and not too long another plane hit the other tower. And we're always hearing all these stories from the news reporters talking about how people are trying to escape out of the Twin Towers. I remember the people who were stuck on the top tower, they didn't want to get burned, so they jumped out the window. And I remember hearing stories how people who were watching, obviously, that couldn't help, saw that. And obviously the people who were also, who, lived it firsthand and probably don't, exist anymore. I can't imagine. And even as a kid, I could not, think about someone just having to do that. Like, it's either you burn or you don't. It's so hard to talk about this. And another thing that was happening in my head was my sister okay? Was my mom and dad okay? I know my sister was probably either teaching or going to school in the city. And my mom and dad worked, and my dad does go work in Manhattan from time to time. And I remember the room being super silent, and we're just listening, like, what's happening, what to do. And over the PA, the principal finally starts talking about safety precautions and what we're going to be doing, and don't worry. And seriously, I think everybody was super worried, and I don't know if everybody feels the same as I did, but it just really hit home. And just hearing later on from the radio that the whole tower collapsed, and of course the second one also went down. And I was super lucky that when we had to call parents to try to pick us up, as we were all the kids were shoved into the auditorium to wait for, our parents. One of my best friends, Emily, she had her mom actually pick her up and also drop me off. So that was really nice of her, because she knew how my parents were. They were always busy working. And if you guys actually listen to my old stuff or dig for it, I have an older commentary, and you guys would actually know about, I guess, a bit more about me, because I did a lot of commentaries. And my parents, they were always busy, and they weren't exactly there in my life when I was really young, when I really, really needed them. And back to the story. That car ride was super silent. The radio was on again, and just listening to it all day long. I remember coming home, how I felt after I was being dropped off and just walking home back to the house. I felt like a plane would just fall out of the sky, or just planes. I don't know why I kept envisioning that to just kill us. And it didn't help that when I turn on the news, you see everything visually now. And the image of the planes crashing into the Twin Towers, it kept looping again and again, day and night. And, lucky, everyone in my family actually came back home eventually. And I saw the footage of all the people who were like running from the collapse, the collision, I guess, the smoke and the debris. They were just fully covered, like really thick, fully covered. Like they looked like moving statues, and it just felt like a horror movie. I couldn't sleep. I really couldn't sleep that well at night. And I remember that the very next day, I remember going out on my roof and I saw that the soot and the dust actually seeped all the way from America, all the way from Manhattan. Literally, you can put a finger in, drag a little bit, and you would see the dust. And I also remember I started having like a breathing problem, I guess, or a really bad cough from it as well. And I remember the very next day feeling tired because I didn't get any sleep, and a lot of my classmates, some of them had really puffy eyes because obviously they lost someone, and it was really extremely sad that I know some of the kids actually lost both parents, and I cannot, I cannot even imagine how that would be. It fucking sucks. And, reflecting back now, I still think it's crazy that someone would hijack a plane and do such a thing. Like, I don't know. Like, it's crazy. I remember this day, and I really want to honor those lives that were lost. And I definitely was changed as a child after this event.